Commanders family, welcome into a very special Command Center. This is our 2025 season recap show from out here at DC Prime. I got the whole crew here with me. We ain't leave nobody at the crib. We even let Fred step out. It all starts right now. Welcome in. I'm your host, Brian Colbert Jr., here with my Game Day Live crew. Future Hall of Famer Brian Mitchell and Mr. 18 and 9, Santana Moss. I know what you're thinking. Where's Fred? Where's Logan? Don't worry, we got the entire Command Center crew. We got the Get Loud crew up in the cut, ready to talk to y'all. We got the radio broadcast crew of London Fletcher, Bram Weinstein, and Logan Paulson. We got the whole crew here, but you know we had to start with the best crew in the world. Oh, yeah. The Game Day Live crew. You see the fellas all out there at their respective spots. Shout out Jakes, shout out Fred Smoot. Everybody out here looking good, ready to eat good. But before we can eat, before we can partake in the drinks, we got to talk about the season that was. And fellas, we all know how it went. A lot of ups and downs in this season. And a lot of that had to do with injury. But fellas, we talked about it all season long, especially on game day. When there's a player injured, it's time for that next man up to step up and get an opportunity. And fellas, we saw so many different guys that we didn't expect to see get those opportunities. B, I'm going to start with you. Who's a guy for you that truly stepped up?
Well, it wasn't necessarily an injury, but I guess it was kind of an injury, but got an opportunity. I go with Chris Paul. You know, Chris Paul got a chance to go out there and play last year and made a name for himself. I think so many times in this league, you know, you have to be selfish in a sense. You have to understand this. You get an opportunity to play, yes, that's your buddy that you got a job, but your job, like I heard Bo Jackson just state this the other day, my job is to take your job. Yeah. And once I get it, my job is to keep it. And I think Chris Paul went out there and he showed, whether this team or another team, I can play football in this league. And I think Chris was one of those guys where I saw him just grab it and say, you know what, this is mine. I think every player got to have that same mindset.
Yeah, I think one guy, when you hear that, who stepped up, the ultimate guy, that the picture I can see is Jeremy Reeves.
Oh, man.
I mean, this guy got a chance to go in there and play the position that he's been trying to play since he's been in the league, you know. But hey, special teams has been his thing, so he's been a Pro Bowler as a special team. He's been a guy that every year we count on time and time again, whether it's kickoff team, whether it's punt team, you name it. Jeremy Reeves shows up on a special team some kind of way. But this year, you know, we got an injury at our safety. One of the guys that we respectfully thought was gonna come in here and make some, you know, things happen. Yeah. But the injury caused him to miss a lot of time, and Reeves was that guy. Reeves stepped up so well to whereas when the guy got back healthy, they say, hey, you know what I mean, we found a spot for him, so we got to keep him out there. So I think when you look at that and you ask that question, that's the guy for me, man, Jeremy Reeves. Revo.
Man, Mitch, honestly, I thought that was going to be your answer because Tanner put a perfect point on it. He had played for years, even as an All-Pro, and never really got a chance to show him as a safety. B, Mitch, before we move forward, you got to give your boy Jeremy Reeves some love because I know you guys are very, very close.
I love Revo, man. This guy, he's always looking to get better. He wants to be a good leader. He wants to be there for his team. And when he got the chance to play, I was excited for him because one thing about it, he put that tie out on people. You know, and what I love about him is he's the type of guy that could bring something to the table where he hits you one play, 10 plays later, somebody's thinking about that dude is back there, the third guy's back there to hit somebody. He changes your whole mindset. And but you just see he was ready. You know, that's the thing about it, like getting opportunities and being prepared and being ready to do it. He was ready.
And fellas, of course, we saw Jaden Daniels come out. He struggled with injuries all season. We saw a number of quarterbacks come in and find success. And to me, that was very impressive, Tanner, because our playmakers still were able to get it done, no matter who was behind center. Now, you played with a number of quarterbacks, man. How impressive were you to see guys like Jalen, guys like Deebo Samuel, new to the area, be able to get off, put up numbers, no matter who was at quarterback?
I think one of the things you find out about our league is, you know, and we say it so much, but for the guys who don't play the game, no one's gonna, you know, have pity for you. You got to go out there and get the job done. And I think, you know, we get caught up into, well, you know, if he had this guy, it would probably be much better. Or if he had this guy, but guess what? You don't have that guy. So you got to roll with the punches. And I think that's one of the things that I'm not surprised. You know, I'm not going to sit there and pat them on the back for a job well done. They were supposed to go out there and get their job done regardless. Now, I will say at times, you'll be like, that whoever that guy filling in that void, get him the ball a little more. Or whoever that OC is, find a way to get him involved a little more. But for the most part, man, those guys did their job because whoever was back there, they had to go out there and follow out their assignment regardless.
And people that we got to see step up a lot, and again, being asked to do different things that maybe they didn't expect to do at the start of the season, was our rookie class. We have guys like Bill, guys like Jalen Lane. Who stood out to you on this rookie class, and how impressive was it as we enter draft mode now? Because now we're going to see year 3 of AP and that draft magic he has.
Well, I look at both of those guys, Jalen Lane and also Bill.
Yeah.
You watch them. They came in and did something great, and they stumbled.
Yeah.
And then they went back to it again.
Yeah.
And that's just learning. That's maturing. You know, what I saw, like what Tanner was talking about earlier, those were veteran players that got opportunities and went out there and did what they're supposed to do. And then you saw 2 guys in Bill and also Jalen Lane where they came in and they showed you what they're capable of, but they went through that rookie stumble. But they were intelligent enough or had the right people around them to be able to say, hey, man, keep pushing. You can come out of this thing, and came out and proved that, you know what, next year, they're going to be in it. You know, it could be somebody we're going to be depending upon, and they will be definitely in the nucleus of this team.
And fellas, it's not every season where a 7th round pick headlines one of the best running classes in the NFL. We had one of the best running rooms, right? We were top 5 every single year. Matter of fact, let's take a look at some of those rushing numbers for our Commanders. It's time for Winning Numbers, brought to you by Maryland Lottery. Please play responsibly. Now, the Commanders' run game finishing 4th in the NFL, fellas, rushing 134.7 yards per game last season. Washington ranked in the top 10 in rush attempts, rush yards, and rushing touchdowns. A major bright spot for an offense where we saw some highs and we saw some lows. Now, our rookie Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt and 3rd-year back Chris Rodriguez were major contributors in the run game, combining for 14 fellas of the Commanders' 20 rushing touchdowns. The fellas were having some fun, but let's send it over to our radio crew of Bram, Logan, and London for more on this Washington run game in 2025.
All right, thanks, BC. Let's get into the run game, and I think it kind of starts and ends. B. Mitch Santana were talking about it. Bill, and the impact he had on the offense in year 1 with the team.
Yeah, just to get him in the 7th round and to get that type of productivity out of Bill. And the crazy thing is he's only going to get better. I'm sure there's so many things that he wants to do this offseason to improve his game, to be considered an every down back. But you got to look at getting the ball into his hands as many times as possible. Also, see if you can get him not just as a runner, but also more involved in the receiving game.
And I think as we look at this offseason with the addition of David Blau and how the offense is going to change, I do expect it to be a little bit more run first. So obviously with Bill kind of showing what he can do, the type of offense he played at New Mexico State, which is kind of this outside zone, more diverse run scheme. There's a fullback in that offense, something he's got a lot of familiarity with. I think that's going to really help out. And then couple that with kind of the continuity along the offensive line flesh, that seems like a huge piece in terms of them staying successful with that.
You know, by the middle of the season, his carries had gone down. I think there was a lot for him to learn in his rookie season, and then it kind of really ramped back up towards the end. And the numbers actually pretty astounding considering how much of a limited role he had in the middle chunk of the season. Over 800 yards, 8 rushing touchdowns. What did you see from him as he kind of went from week 1 down to week 18?
I mean, it's something that we talked about on Booth Review all the time, right? Just kind of understanding when to take your shot. Not every play is going to be an explosive touchdown run. How do you run in a messy situation? And that takes a lot of maturity as a runner, right? When do I have to get messy and kind of break an arm tackle and fall forward for 3? That's part of growing as a runner, like Fletch was talking about.
Yeah.
He's going to continue to get better. I think that's what we saw in the course of the season, and you can only expect it to get better moving in 2026.
Well, I think he benefited from, at the middle of the season, where you say he wasn't getting a lot of carries. He got to watch McNichols. He got to watch Chris Rodriguez run the football and see what they liked about C-Rob and how he was decisive, physical. Sometimes if it's only blocked for 1, you got to run it up in there and get 3 yards. So not just looking to bounce everything, understanding when to take your shots, like Logan said, but for him, just the patience as a running back. And then once you see it, hit it, and continue to evolve. And he also evolved as a pass protector as well. There were some things that you saw towards the end of the season that he wasn't doing
about
at the
him
beginning.
early in the season as a pass
Yeah, but he
protector,
improved drastically, dramatically as the season went on.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I think there was a maturity as a runner, but also in the scope of the offense as a pass catcher and as a pass protector, because again, that allows you to get on the field a little bit more.
As we get close to free agency, this is a spot to watch, right? That running back could be something alongside Bill that they could add here. But.
Yeah, you can say that. You don't know what the situation is going to be with the free agents that we have. on our running back. I think Bill is the only one technically under contract. So are you going to look to add somebody else in that running back room? I would think so, because in today's NFL, you need multiple backs that you can rely on and provide that element out of that backfield, or as a runner and a pass catcher.
I think that'll be interesting to see what Coach Blau wants to do there too, because again, Cliff was very distinct. Like, this is going to be our third down back, this is going to be our first down back, this is going to be our kind of utility back. They had kind of a three-headed monster. What does Blau look like, right? Again, because when he's with obviously in Detroit with Ben Johnson, they have two running backs. They have a kind of a power and a speed back. Yeah. Do you need to go find that kind of bigger body guy to complement Bill potentially? I think that'll be kind of informed by personnel decisions and what the direction they want the offense to go.
You would love to be able to, hey, maybe it's just two guys that you really give the lion's share of the snaps. I can rely on this guy both as a runner, a pass catcher, and a pass protector, and not have it where, hey, such and such is in the game. It's a high probability we're going to throw it, or high probability we're going to pass the football.
Let's talk about the line, too, that really developed throughout the year. They got Sam Cosmi back. Hopefully he's fully healthy, start. I think they'll get the full season of him. Josh Connerly really came along. Laramie Tunsil really, I think, came in as, we knew what he was as a pass blocker. I think he really showed off as a run blocker as well. How do you think about the line, which feels like really a strength of the team as they head into the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things that really alleviates a lot of the pressure on the running back, right? Because the running back is such a dependent position, so having that group back, I think that's really going to characterize the identity of the offense as a running team more than anything, right? So getting Tyler Biotish back, again, it'll be interesting to see what they do at left guard there with Chris Ball being a free agent. We'll see what happens. But I think that continuity of four pieces that you feel really good about, a young piece you can build around, and a recently signed Sam Cosmi, like that just seems like the backbone of this offense.
Just when you look at the change that DQ made, you have to feel like they're going to lean more into running the football. There needs to be a greater commitment to running the ball. You look at Seattle, the Super Bowl champion, and some of the teams that were the Final Four teams. All those teams had the ability to run the football at will, and you're going to need that type of physicality, especially if you're going to be playing playoff games late into the playoffs.
With the record they had, you're looking for silver linings, and this year, or this past year, still, with all the injuries that they had, this was a top 5 rush offense. The run game had a bunch of can't-miss moments in 2025. Here's one of them, presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official partner of the Washington Commanders. Commanders are going to start with a handoff here. Bill Krosky-Merritt, boy, he got hit around the neck, got out of it, cuts out to the 50, 45-40, 35-30, ducks under 2 Chargers to get extra yardage. What a run by Bill!
What a run indeed. And this is just Bill Krosky-Merritt using his great speed, but also his balance, running through the contact. And this is against Derwin James, one of the best safeties in the National Football League. And once he makes Derwin James miss that, he's off to the races.
And here is a look at the 2025 stats for Bill. 175 carries, 805 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, 4.6 average per carry, and he was the Pepsi Rookie of the Week 4 times. A young star for the Commanders. Now let's send it over to the Get Loud crew of Jenks and Smoot.
The ambiance.
Yes.
You know what it makes me want to do? I got a fire. I love this joint. It makes me want to talk offensive playmakers.
DC Pride, one of my favorite places to be. Great food, great ambiance, great people. I love it.
I'm going to give you the floor.
Yeah.
Your offensive playmaker you want to start with?
I got to start with Treylon Burks. I just think.
I love this choice, by the way.
No. I just think he one of them guys. First of all, I love guys that didn't really reach their pinnacle at their first stop.
Yeah.
And now they get their first round against the second chance, and we are their second stop for him. And I think he just showed us the tip of the iceberg last year.
Yeah.
Like, he came in, and all I heard the guys saying at practice was all these catches he's making, this one hand this, one hand that. He goes out there and he gets a chance to play, and he just shatters the internet with a one-hander. So he is a guy that I'm looking for his plays to expand, and we always been missing that big receiver, and he's that big body receiver that I want to see take it to the next level.
Also, we got to talk about Bill, because finally there's a home run threat in the backfield, and a guy who will only get better and incredible value for the draft.
Dollar
bill,
y'all. You want to talk about the surprise of the draft last year? Your guy came in second, rushing at all rookies, and just explosive. If I got to say one word that defines who this guy is, explosive. we haven't had a game break around here for years when it comes to the backfield. And the one thing that the question is with him is, can he refine the rest of his game? Pass pro. That's the one thing that usually stops college running backs from excelling in the NFL is pass pro. So this offseason, can he take it to the next level with pass pro? And another guy is Ben Sinnott. I got to bring Ben Sinnott in because he's a guy that, you know, they're expecting him to reach a certain level, and this offseason is going to be very important for his career, for him to take it to the next level, especially when you talk about the injuries that's in the tight end room. Can he be the complete package? That's going to always be the question with him.
I really loved as well Laramie Tunsil, who just doing the man's work on the line as advertised.
Listen, tackles like that don't fall out the sky. You're talking about a top-notch tackle in this
handling
league.
Dudes.
And watching him work is beautiful. See, we got used to that with Trent Williams. Like, we got spoiled watching that. But over the years, we have been trying to find their replacement. And I think now with Laramie Tunsil, we most definitely found their replacement.
And then finally, the Swiss Army knife, Debo.
Debo. Do a little bit of everything, do whatever I ask. At the beginning of the season, it looked like he was going to the Pro Bowl as a return. Then he comes back, you ask him to play in the backfield, you ask him to play in the slot, you ask him to play wide receiver. He's a football player. That's what I like. He's a football player.
Well, the new OC David Blau gets to work with all these guys, and he talked with BC.
And when you look at your resume and the things you've been through, not only as a player, but as a coach as well, you've gotten to be around some very incredible minds. Now you get to be the next incredible offensive mind here. In your words, when you look at what this Commanders offense can be, no, it's not a finished product yet, but we know what we have in-house right now. In your words, what is this Commanders offense going to look like in 2026?
Yeah, right on. I think when people turn on the tape, they're going to see a play style that is just recognizable across the NFL. That's one thing that I want to come to life. It's DQ's vision, the speed and violence that our offense is going to run off the football with, loading their stance and run. I think they're going to see a competitive and creative group that, you know, I like to use the phrase, we're going to make the same things look different and different things look the same. That, you know, can cause a little bit of stress for a defense. So I think there's some cornerstones and some benchmarks that we'll hit along the way. But, you know, I've got a vision in mind, and our offensive staff is coming along beside me, and us collectively are trying to build it exactly how we see it.
And I mean, it's got to be exciting, right? Because you're coming in with a whole lot of toys in your toy chest, right? We got some really good young guys that have ability, but that are still developing, trying to make it in this league.
That's right.
How do you plan to get the most out of these young guys like Jalen Lane, like Bill Krosky-Merritt, guys that showed signs of excellence, but that you want to see on a more consistent basis?
Yeah, I think like DQ had an intentional development plan for me. We as a coaching staff will have that for every single player who walks through these doors, whether it's the 23 players we have under contract right now on offense, or it's guys that we acquire in free agency or through the draft that will help us, you know, kind of reach new levels. And starts with Jaden, but then those young players like Bill and Jalen and Luke and Ben and all, you know, the young players, Josh Connerly, who, you know, we've drafted and want to develop and have seen progress. You know, now it's year 2 for some, year 3 for some. It's how do we help these guys reach another level, and that's our job, man, is to put them in the best possible position that we recognize their ability and put them in position to be successful.
Great catching up with the OC David Blau, and you can catch the full interview on the Commanders YouTube page right now. Blau spending the past 2 seasons in Washington as the assistant quarterbacks coach alongside Jaden Daniels. Now, let's send it over to Logan, London, and Brown for more on this offense. Take it away, fellas.
All right, thanks, Jakes. We just heard from David Blau with Brian, and I think the relationship that he already formed with Jaden Daniels should be helpful here heading into 2026.
I think absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons you hire him. Obviously, you're a really bright dude, but you want Jaden to be comfortable. And one of the things that I love coming out of the Super Bowl week that they kept talking about was like they want to build this offense for Jaden, and having a guy that knows him that way, I think is going to be extremely important. So the relationship's important. Understanding what Jaden does well is also important. So I think that was a big part of this hire.
Yeah, when you look at David Blau and people are kind of trying to figure out, hey, what's this Commanders offense going to look like under him? Well, he played under Ben Johnson with the Detroit Lions. Obviously, he was with Cliff the last 2 years. I think it would be a combination of both those offenses where you're still running some of the zone reads and some of the stuff that Jaden likes to do. But I think you'll see a lot more under center stuff because that's going to aid. You talking about making Jaden more comfortable building this offense around him. I think putting him under center more is going to elevate his game to another level.
Why does that matter?
It matters because of when you're, as a linebacker or second level defender, and you're talking about run action, respecting the run. I have a tendency to respect the run action, run fake a lot more with a quarterback giving that action under center as opposed to being in the gun and you're giving like this, what we call a token hand play action pass. That doesn't get me to respond as much. Come downhill, open up second level windows in the passing game for the quarterback. So doing that, you look at all the offenses that do that at a high clip, their quarterbacks are able to make a ton of plays in that intermediate level off play action passes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing too is I think we want to see more formation alignment, right? Kind of when you're throwing the football, it looks like what you're running the football out of. And you mentioned Seattle in an earlier segment, Fletch. Like they do a really good job of kind of mixing those things together where you can't get the formational tells the same way with some of the offenses we've seen here previously. So I think that's going to be a huge part. In addition to the under center, because I think, you and I kind of disagree on this. I think you can get successful offense from the gun or from the pistol, but I think the formation has to be aligned really tightly.
Real quick, when you say build an offense for Jaden, what do you think that means when you hear that?
Well, that's what I said. So Jaden, in college, he played in a lot in the gun. He played spread offense a lot. That's what he did at LSU. That's what he did his first 2 years under Cliff. So there are things and he excels at a lot of those elements where you're saying, hey, let's put some other pieces in there we're going to keep some of this gun stuff, but we're also going to add more under center runs, more runs out of play action, marrying more of these runs and passes till they look the same, and then we'll be able to create more explosive plays out of this because, hey, we've ran this ball 4 times out of this formation, same action. Now all of a sudden, I put that ball out there, I pull it, and I got a deep shot one-on-one with Terry. I got a deep over with another receiver, stuff like that. That's the element of this offense. That's what you want it to look like. And Jaden has those skill sets.
I can't wait to get to OTAs when we get our first glimpses of what the new offense is going to look like as we send it back to you, Brian.
The National Football League has been played over 100 years. There have been 3 players to eclipse the 2,000 tackle mark. Only 3 players. So Ray Lewis, myself, and today, Bobby Wagner.
Thank you guys, I appreciate you, man. Ever since I got out here, man, the love of the game, you guys helped bring that back to me. And I know we've had some up and downs, but I would never want to go ups and downs with this group. This group is special. It means something to me. It's something I'll always remember. I'm so grateful for you guys. Let's keep pushing.
Hell yeah, Bob.
What a special moment. 2 of the best to ever do it shared together during this season. And of course, we can't talk this season without giving our flowers to future Hall of Famer Bobby Wagner. Now, through 17 games, the linebacker put up 162 total tackles, 4.5 sacks, and 2 interceptions. Wagner eclipsed 2,000 career tackles, joining linebackers London Fletcher and Ray Lewis as the only players in NFL history to record this milestone. Fellas, it's kind of crazy to think we got Bobby in the building. And then one of the other 3, London Fletcher, is right up the way. He's in the building as well, man. Just historic presence. I think both of them are very similar in a lot of ways, coming here a lot older. How happy are you to see Bobby here, still finding success, still hitting accolades? And like you said, you're the Walter Payton Man of the Year as well.
Yes. And then think about it. I just remember you said 162 tackles in 17 games. That's almost 10 tackles a damn game.
Yes.
Yeah, but the thing about it, I'd love to see a guy like Bobby come in and a guy like London when he came here. Guys that had played and have made a name for themselves on other teams, but still come here and have the ability to go out there and perform at a high level on the field. They're also great leaders. And I think the young guys will look at them and say, okay, like when I got here, you had Art Monk and Darryl Green. I'm like, man, these dudes working out this hard, I better pick my game up. I think they are a prime example. They don't have to say a word.
Yeah.
Just watch them go out there and do their craft. Yeah. And if you start following them a little bit, like I would follow Ernest Biner and Darryl, and I'll start copying off of them, doing little things that they did. And I stayed around 14 years. If you want to figure it out, look at a guy like a Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby not the fastest at all time, but he knows how to get in position. He knows how to read defenses and get where he needs to be. Just like Matt Millen was an older guy when he got here, when I was here, and Matt Millen, all he did was make plays. Because those guys know how to think the game instead of just going out there and using that athletic ability.
Yeah, I think of them as, what we all know London as tone setters. And I remember coming into the league as a young pup with the Jets, had no clue of how to approach the game, had no clue of how to approach a practice or a meeting. And then you watch the other guys, you watch the Mo Lewises, the Marvin Jones, the Curtis Martins I had on offense, the Wayne Corbett I had on offense, the Kevin Mawais I had on offense as our center. Like, these guys was all older guys, and they was basically, you didn't have to ask a question, just watch them. And, I'm a guy that, until I get to know you, I don't open up and go to speaking. So I would just sit there and just watch. And before you know it, now I'm mimicking the things that they're doing. So when I look at Bobby and I look at a guy that, that's still here today, that still can go out there and get you 10 tackles, and he probably can get 10 in the sleep, When people question why, no, it's a reason you need a guy in the building like that. Because one, he can still get it done. And then two, if he can't get it done, he can teach it to the younger guys that, hey, this is how you approach it. So I think it's great to see him being able to still be the guy that I saw as a rookie, that I played against as a rookie. Because to me, that's how he looks. He's still out there dominant. He's still flying around. And he's just making plays because he put the work in behind closed doors when it comes to getting this, getting the game down his head, and then also being in shape enough and being in good health enough to go out there and perform.
And B, Tanner said it
Especially at that position.
Yeah, man, for sure. And Tanner said it perfectly. A tone setter. And when you have a tone setter like that, it permeates, right?
Yeah.
Other players get involved. And we did have some defensive playmakers. No, the season wasn't what we expected. However, we had guys on our defense that were making plays, have a new defensive coordinator in Durante Jones coming in, not just with Bear. He has a couple guys in here. B, Mitch, what are some of those defensive playmakers that stood out to you?
Well, I think you look at big man Kinlaw. I think Kinlaw is a guy where the consistency wasn't exactly where it needed to be, but you see when he's out there performing at a high level what he can do. So I think if he can continue doing the things he did and then have a little bit more consistency next year, because Durante is doing, he's a guy who plays on the back end, but he understands what he needs in the front end. And I really believe that he's going to come in here and teach those guys how to do your job to help them out the back and vice versa. And that makes the team even better.
And Tanner, when I hear that, the first person I think of is Mikey Sanders. So another person I think of is Trey Amos. I got to imagine they're going to be impacted by a guy like Durante Jones.
No question. I think when you look at it, he's already probably chopping at the bits to get into these guys, heads and see where they at. Like what knowledge that he can, take in from them and say, okay, you have this already, then let me give you this to add with it. And it's just great to see what Mikey was able to overcome, man. I mean, we talk about players hitting that wall, like those rookie guys that hit the wall, but then they found a way to say, okay, it's a little longer season, so let me get back on this horse and get out there for the rest of the season. I believe Sanders still is a prime example of how you have to play this game. Like, it's not going to always go your way. But you said you got to go out there and claw and fight, scratch, however way it is, and get the job done. And so hats off to a young Sanders still in his second year that still was able to go out there and show you that, hey, man, it was tough inside. But guess what? Just a year ago, I was on the outside handling things. Then we found a way to get him back on the outside, and he showed you what his value was for us the year before and why it's going to be that same going forward. So I can't wait to see what the coach like Coach Jones do when a guy like Sanders still and Trey Amos, man. I mean, just to think, man, before he got hurt, he was arguably probably one of the top three in our division at cornerback, and everybody was talking, about him. So I just can't wait to see, because I tell you all the time, as a receiver, that's who I pay attention to. And I think it's because I played the position too as a youth. So I'm always paying attention to corners. Like, if you're not a guy that's putting hands on you, what else do you have, you know? And because it's hard to sit out there and cover guys like myself for that long. So you have to have something with you. And both of those guys, man, they have it. They have everything you can ask for.
Man, fellas, so excited to see what Durante Jones can do with this secondary. But not just the secondary, this defense. Our first-time defensive coordinator. But, fellas, he is far from new to this. When you look at the career of Durante Jones, he began it with the Dolphins back in 2016 as the assistant defensive backs coach. He then made a stop with the Bengals before joining the Vikings coaching staff in 2020, where he also was the defensive backs coach. Now, fellas, he did spend one season with LSU, but then rejoined the Vikings and returned as the defensive backs coach. Now, for more on this defense, let's hear from our Get Loud crew. I can already hear Fred screaming now. Let's send it over to our guys.
We talked about the offense. Now we get to talk about the defense and Durante Jones coming home.
Well, I like to say the old phrase, offense sell tickets and defense wins championships.
I thought you might like that phrase.
So when you get a guy this pedigree, I'm very excited because multiple front type guy, because I'm just going off the people that he studied under, who he's coached with. Multiple fronts, guys like Flores preach.
Mike Zimmer.
Preach pressure, preach simulated pressure. So we're going to see a lot of guys at the ball. We're going to see a lot of guys on the line, no matter if they're coming or they dropping. So that's what I want. Like, you're going to have to figure out where is he trying to attack me from. And I think it's going to be great for the defensive backs. I think it's going to help the pass rush get off blocks, because the one thing about it is, if you can't raw out beat the offensive line, you can confuse them. And if you can confuse them with the count, all right, when they're trying to count who is coming, and that's why they always holler out where the mic at and where this and that. Well, if you can't identify that, they make it hard. So all those multiple fronts to him simulated pressure, I think that's going to really take this defense to another level. And I love first-year callers because his imagination, and he won't be tied down by the do's and the don'ts because he's got burnt. So it'll be all right.
And we see this all the time in the NFL where a defensive-minded head coach like DQ could hire somebody who's completely in line with him. Here, he takes someone who has a different philosophy, so you can see kind of a mix and match and really make that defense interesting.
No, you're right about that, because at the end of the day, like I said, we're, as a fan base, we're going to still be trying to figure out what's the identity. We probably won't know the identity of the defense till week 6. Week 7 on what they trying to build and how they're trying to build it, how they're going to go about it. Are they going to be more coverage? Are they going to try to beat people with 4? Are they going to send blitz with speed? That means sending a nickel. What you going to do, blitz with the outside linebacker? We don't know. And guess what? Neither does the other team. Know what defense is he going to be calling and how aggressive he's going to be. And I think we can use that to our advantage.
When I talk about your career, you always say, I loved working with Greg Williams because he took advantage of our talent. He developed us. So when you have a guy who's coached in the secondary, right? He can develop Trey and Quan and Mikey. And so we can see those guys take a next step as well.
Usually you take on the identity of your coordinator. And Greg was this mad scientist. And so we all became mad scientists. Like, he wanted us to know all details of all calls, understand what's the check to these calls, understand how to get it done. Like, he would have practice where he just let us call the play. So we understood what he was trying to do and what he's accomplished. When you get a defense players and defensive coordinators on the same page, now your defense start to work in unison. Now you start to play more fast and you eliminate as many calls and you start to play fewer coverages and you maximizing what you do. And that's what I liked about the Seattle, the Super Bowl. Their defense plays fast because they don't play a lot of coverages.
So we know this defense needs help at all 3 levels. What's the one position you want them to improve upon the most?
It got to be pass rusher. It got to be the edge. It got to be somebody that the quarterbacks in this league don't make mistakes when they stand upright. They only make mistakes when they're feeling pressure and they're feeling indecisive. We got to get somebody here what I call a chaos maker. That's what we need.
I like that, the chaos maker.
Like the chaos maker.
Well, last week, BC caught up with our new defensive coordinator. Check it out. It is time for the best seat in the house, presented by SeatGeek, the most disruptive idea in ticketing. A ticket that works. Expect the expected. SeatGeek.
You've seen you be a part of some of the better secondaries that we have seen in the NFL. And a lot of that has to do with those relationships. And I know when we hired you, I saw your resume, and the first person I thought of, Mikey Sanderson. Then I think of Trey Amos. Then I think of Quan Martin. Then I think of Will Harris. And all of these young guys that we have in the secondary that need a leader like you, that need somebody to reach out that hand. How can you bring the best out of those guys that are already on this roster?
Continue, one, to get to know them in that way. Having conversations with them, one, figuring out what's their why, and then how they're motivated, and then tapping into that, sharing with them some stories, getting to know, like Mikey's wife and kids and their and how having his 2 little girls putting a smile on his face. Just that alone, right? Just that alone can tap into a growth to another level, and so you. Again, it's what is the phrase? They don't care what you know until they know how much you care. That's what it is.
Great getting to hear from this first-year defensive coordinator, Durante Jones, and looking forward to what he will bring to D.C. Now we send it over to the radio broadcast crew for more on this Washington defense moving into the 2026 season.
Thanks, Jakes. Welcome back to the Glass Room here at DC Prime. The real mystery this year, the defense. Durante Jones comes in out of the Minnesota system under Brian Flores. Going to be a different look here. Seems philosophically different from what Dan Quinn was doing. What do you expect to see?
I expect him to pressure a lot. You don't hire somebody off the Brian Flores coaching tree and say, hey, all of a sudden we're going to sit back and rush forward and play a bunch of coverage. I expect this to be a lot more aggressive defense, put a lot of pressure on the pass protection of the offense, is trying to identify, is it a blitz, who are the four rushers, stuff like that. So I'll expect to see a lot of those types of things. And then with him having his passing game background as a DB coach, I expect us to play a lot of different types of coverage on the back end.
And I think it actually might align more with what they want to do at the beginning of this year, right? I remember going to training camp with you guys and watching all the pressures, the 5-man pressures, the man coverage.
Yes.
This is something that I think is kind of the modern iteration of that, right? We're going to kind of look like it's zero, right? We're going to find ways to get 4-man overloads. But the thing that I think is the kind of the secret sauce of the whole thing is the coverages we can play behind it. How do we disguise our quarters? How do we disguise our palms? How do we disguise our man coverage? And then the kind of coup de grace is the cover 2 that they run off of with the cross dog. So if they can bring some of that stuff in here, it really stresses the offense. Like I remember prepping for Minnesota, Fletch, just being like, I don't know what you do from a protection plan. It keeps you sound without staying in max for all the time. And that consternation is exactly what you want to be doing offenses.
Yeah, like when we watched Minnesota and we were there, what did you take away from watching their defense?
Well, the same thing I thought coming in. We knew they blitzed more than anybody in the National Football League. It was an insane rate. It was like over...
It's like close to 50%, yeah.
No, it was close to 60%.
On first and second down or something?
No, total, how much they were blitzing. So, especially as the season went on. So, just seeing that in person, the amount of times when we had no idea who were the guys rushing. And then a lot of times it was just ended up being 4 guys coming, but because they put so much pressure on you, counting, trying to identify who the guys are, you struggle, and by the time you try to figure it out, and also you're trying to identify what coverages is, quarterback was getting sacked or getting flushed out of pocket and forced to throw incompletions.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, and I think it lets the DBs play really aggressive and really confident. I think the other thing, Fletch, and you pointed this out to me, is it really stresses that back end of the defense in terms of tackling, right? I think the coverage becomes easier. I think the pressures become easier, but you got to tackle, right? When you've got 4 guys in coverage, you got to make sure you make those big plays. So that'll be interesting to see how they kind of account for that variable in the defense.
They have a 7th overall pick. Could be a defensive player, could be an edge rusher, could be a safety, who knows? Like big-time talents there coming out. Free agency's coming up first. I think we can all agree that they're going to get some pieces for Durante Jones to work with here, right?
I mean,
absolutely. we have to. It's one thing to have a scheme, but scheme works a lot better when you have the right players too.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And again, like you got to get some horses to run the scheme. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see. How much are we blitzing in 2026? We'll ask Durante soon as we send it back to BC.
Just a great 3 days. So much good happened.
We're really pumped that we had another commander in the building.
With the 29th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Josh Connolly Jr., tackle, Oregon.
I'm just here to win. That's the goal, and that's what I came here to do.
When you have a young quarterback, the best thing to do is build the offensive line in front of him, and that's what the Commanders are doing.
Washington Commanders selects Trey Amos, defensive back, Mississippi.
I had a first-round grade on Trey Amos. He was long, fast, physical.
Trey Amos go off the board at number 61. I had him number 28 overall.
What's up, Commanders family? Hey, man, I just can't wait to put in work, man.
I'm a big fan of Jalen Lane out of Virginia Tech, who's now with the Washington Commanders, and what he brings to the table.
Has a really unique instinct with the ball in his hands. He's got a nose for the sticks and first downs.
What's going on, Washington? Cam Madrano here. Can't wait to get out there and get to work. Go Commanders.
Tall, long, fastest linebacker at the combine. Ran, sub 4.5.
Corey Krosky Merritt. This guy's one of my favorite sleepers in the entire draft class. The Arizona running back goes in the 7th round. He has incredible juice.
Fellas, we just saw that 2025 draft class, and it's crazy to think we're already approaching the 2026 NFL draft. Now, when you look back at that 2025 draft class, there was some hitters in there. First rounder, Josh Connolly Jr. started for us all season long. Quarterback Trey Amos, who Tanner talked about earlier, started for us as well before getting injured. Then we have wide receiver and punt returner Jalen Lane, who really started coming to his own. Linebacker out of UCLA, Kane Madrano, and then, of course, 7th round pick, the sensation, running back Bill Crosby Merritt. Fellas, let's talk a little bit more about not only this 2025 draft class, But the draft classes we've seen from AP, it was time to secure the W, presented by Hercules Spence. Security in every job. Fellas, we knew when we hired AP that he was something of a draft guru, but we didn't really know what to expect when he first got in here. But when you look at that first 2024 draft class, knocked it out the park, almost starters across the board. Jaden Daniels, Johnny Newton, man, you just have so many different guys. Mikey Sanderson that made an impact. B-Mitch, when you look at that 2024 draft class, now going into year 3, man, how excited are you to continue to see their development?
I'm very excited because I think so many people outside of the buildings in football, they want guys to walk into the building and instantly become what a 10-year guy is. And I always say you have to learn how to perform at this level because everybody's good. Johnny Newton's in that one game last year showed what he's capable of. Now, this year when he comes in year 3, we expect him now to start hitting the ground running a lot more. Luke McCaffrey was starting to show what he was capable of. Then he got hurt. We already saw what Jaden is. Okay? And when you start seeing all, and now Ben Sinnott has to take a step. But they do have guys who already shown us they can play. Now you start working on the consistency. Got to play, when you hit about year 3, that's when you start to show it because now you know your routine, you know what to do, you know what people expect of you. And once you get into that, whether you can just go out there and play with a rhythm, things change for you. And all these guys have already shown what they can do. Now just be a little bit more consistent.
I chuckle a little bit because I remember coming into this league and if you're depending on a young guy out the gate, that means your team ain't that good. You know what I mean? So just hearing us, I understand why the fans feel the way they feel. We was coming from some dark places. You know what I mean? We was trying to get there. And, respectfully, those guys did that. You know? I don't know, you want to call it coaching, you want to call it just a player alone, or just whatever it may be. They got there, and we didn't expect that. And now they want to see it again. You know? And rightfully so. But I think what I love about what we do in this sport, you have time. You know what I mean? But you also have to have depth. And that's the thing that I feel like we wasn't dealing with or we didn't have enough of. Because when you're using those guys, when you want some of those guys to hit, like hit out the park like that, like a first round quarterback that we got that hit out the park year 1, like, having a Sanders still back there who hit out the park in year 1, having a Newton knowing that, hey, he was hurt, but he's showing you flashes. You know what I mean? Having guys of that nature that say, okay, we got better, and then you go around and do it again the next year, and now you have other guys. We didn't have a great season, but we had other guys. We're just all looking forward to seeing these guys get caught up, and now to be able to play, saying that, hey, I got 1 year, 2 years, whatever it may be, I got all that behind my back now. Now let's go out here and play together and try to win some games.
And Tanner, that's an excellent point because it kind of felt like our 2025 draft class was more about depth. We heard AP said, he said, we're ready to play right now before the draft even starts. We knocked it out of free agency, and we seem to have added those guys. B-Mitch, real quick, when you look at the Josh Connolly Juniors, our next draft class where we're looking at these guys to really step up big in year 2, how do you feel about that 2025
I feel good about the 2025 draft because what you're looking for pieces to be fitting into the nucleus of the team, the foundation of the team. Josh Connolly is the foundation. We saw what Bill did. He's the foundation as well. Those things make a difference. And you have to take people from the previous year. Now you got this year. This year they do it again. You look at a long haul. I think people look at the draft. You get some draft someone. They wanted to hit that year. You don't know that if a draft pick was a hit till 3-4 years down the road. And right now, it looks like a lot of those guys are already leading towards being a hit.
And fellas, like always, we the last ones working, man. Everybody else outside eating, enjoying their food, getting their drinks. We still here putting in that work. Let's send it over to the Get Loud crew and the radio crew as they wait for us to join with them outside, because we need some grub too, fellas.
Let's eat, baby.
Do it.
BC, thank you very much. Time to talk draft, and we're going to do so with some, oh my God, look at these culinary delights.
This is where it's at. Calamari.
Oysters. Shrimps.
Yeah, the shrimps.
Commanders pick at 7, we know that. Before we talk about potentially who could team or who they might like, what is the case for going back in the draft?
I mean, obviously, like there's, in a draft for the Commanders where they don't have a lot of picks in the top 100, right? No second-round pick, no fourth-round pick. I think it'd be awesome if they could. The thing that I run into, Fred, is I just don't know who is going to trade up for what. I think
why?
Yes, that's exactly right. And in a draft that's a little bit unusual in terms of peak, right? There's one quarterback as of right now. Obviously, guys can move up on the board, but I just am confused about who would come up and trade for something at 7?
Do you think it's a guy that could be a late bloomer somewhere in the process? I don't know if it's the combine. I don't know if it's the East-West Shrine game, or somebody could be that late riser, especially like a guy like Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chamberlain. I think he's a guy that can move the needle. Like, I think once people watch him throwing and watch his private workout, I think because they want to draft a quarterback. Somebody is going to overdraft a quarterback. We see it every year. I'm wondering, is he the one that can shake up the draft?
I mean, I hope so, because again, I think as Commanders fans, you want that someone to kind of move into that top 5 area at the quarterback spot, so a team feels the need to get up to 7 to maybe make a push for the quarterback. So again, that's why we're talking about quarterbacks here, because again, it's the ability to get more draft capital in the top 100. Because again, like you've talked about, we've all talked about, there's a lot of needs for this roster, and the best way to fill them is through the draft.
I don't know that it's the only thing, but it's going to be the most prominent thing that would possibly happen for him. There are a lot of really high-level prospects at a lot of different position groups. And there are teams that may fall in love with one of these guys and want to make sure that they get them, like Jeremiah Love. Where is he going to go in the first round? I don't know. Eye of the beholder. But some people are going to look at him and think that's Ashton Genty or Christian McCaffrey or whoever you think. And if that's the case, there could be hopefully someone that moves just a small way back that allows Washington in this position.
I never feel like running back is that position that people go out there and rush up the board.
A lot of people may see what Jahmyr Gibbs is doing in Detroit, and then you got
Is that changing now?
You see the kid down in Atlanta, Bijan Robinson. You see how explosive these guys are. Both drafted extremely high. What's to prevent somebody from going to get you mentioned, let's say Arvell Reese falls to 7. There might be somebody like, hey, I'm going to go get him. And also it depends on how far are you asking me to drop back. Because I still have some needs on my football team. Can I drop back 3 or 4 spots and still get one of my top 2 guys at this spot that I need? So all that comes into play.
That's the trickiest part of this whole thing. This team needs impact players. There's a lot of really good impact players. You don't want to drop all the way back and take yourself out of taking an impact player. So you're trying to do 2 things at once, and you're really threading the needle for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. But it's one of them things where do I want to try to figure out how to get me a 2nd round pick, how to get me a 4th? Because it's going to be guys.
You're going to definitely do that. Because that just makes too much sense.
Because there's linebackers out there like Harold Perkins Jr. from LSU, who I think will be around in the 3rd round that I think is an instant starter. If you can get him healthy. So it's some guys out there. So the question is, do you want the highest quality or do you want multiple quality picks?
That's something that Adam Peters and his staff, I'm sure they're going through all the different scenarios. What are you able to address? What needs are you able to address during free agency? That's going to be big because certain free agent classes, hey, they're strong here. I know I can get this position. Free agency, and we'll already address that there. So we're going to say, look at, okay, this need right here. How deep is it in the draft? Can we go down, 10 spots? I'm going to get me another 2. I might even get another 3. And so just
we guys were debating this earlier too. There's that age-old debate, right? Best athlete available versus position of need. So where do you go?
I've never been a huge fan of just say I'm taking the best athlete available, best player available.
Okay.
If my needs and that player intersect or are close to being an intersection, then I'm okay with that. But I'm playing on this football team. Your best athlete, best player available might be a middle linebacker. You don't need one of them.
But Fletch, like that's
you need to go get another position.
They inform each other, though, right? Like for every team, best player available is a little bit different, right? And
the need. They have to intersect.
But you can only do best player available when you got a ready-made roster. You can't do that when there's so many holes in the roster. You need to say, I need to take an impact player in an impact position. And here go the question is, do you want to bet on the draft? Because the one thing about the draft picks, you can draft them as high as you want to. They're not guaranteed to be an impact player in this league compared to a free agent that you see.
I know. Just look at me versus you. You were 2nd rounder. I was an unlucky guy. That was no exact science.
Well, when they were looking over there, they looked and you were 2 inches tall. They couldn't see. They looked right past you. But there go the thing. Do you want the guaranteed commodity versus
There's
the
no
upside?
guaranteed commodity.
But also, I think you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, you look at the Seattle Seahawks, the past 2 Super Bowl winners. One of the things that they did a great job of the last 3 years is drafting extremely well, right? That's because you get young, cost-controlled assets to your roster. And so I think that this is where, again, you see the value of it.
Lots of decisions to be made, and we had to decide what we're going to eat
everything.
Here's your top 5 presented by the UA Local 5 Plumbers, protecting the health of the nation's capital since 1890. Here's a look at the full list of draft picks for Adam Peters and company heading into the 2026 NFL Draft. Of course, the number 7 overall pick in round 1, a pick in round 3, a pick in round 5, 2 picks in round 6, and a pick in round 7. And here's what Peters had to say in his postseason press conference about entering the 2026 draft season.
Obviously, we have a top 10 pick, which, you could look to move and get more picks if the opportunity arises. But certainly, I think every offseason, no matter what your picks are, what you have, you're always trying to maximize both the draft and free agency, getting guys that, you might not be able to get in the other one. So if you're going free agency, it's super heavy at one position, maybe you go there, and then the draft, you go elsewhere to fill those needs. When we do that, when we get players that the scouts like and the coaches like and the analytics like, those are our biggest hit rates. So I don't really know any other way to do it, and I don't think there's a better way to do it than to collaborate and make sure that we're all on the same page and all bought in.
Fellas, draft season is here for General Manager Adam Peters and the Commanders. And Command Center has you covered as we gear up for the 2026 NFL Draft. We will be live from the draft in Pittsburgh for round 1. That's myself, Brian Mitchell, and Santana Moss. We got the game day crew back together. And that includes pre-draft coverage Thursday and Friday. Plus, we will bring you live coverage when the Commanders are on the clock.
Time for Mission Ready, powered by Big Bear AI. Mission Ready AI for a rapidly evolving world.
Fellas, what a fun recap this is. We got the fire, we got the food, we got the drinks, we got the vibes. It's great to see all you guys. To end the show, we are going to be giving out awards. End of season awards, if you will. And Tanner, I'm going to start with you. You're going to get us started. Who would you give the offensive MVP award to from the 2025 Commanders?
All right, this is a tough one, but not so tough. Marcus Mariota.
Oh,
I think Marcus Mariota deserves it.
I like
think,
that.
For the role that he took on, stepping in and filling in for 5, it was almost not a, he didn't have a hiccup in his whole,
He played pretty good.
He played pretty good. He was able to go out there and, move the ball up and down the field and gave us a chance every week. So.
And Fred is our defensive guru on the squad. You get to give out the defensive MVP award. Because he loves being called a guru. Anytime I call Fred a guru, I'm going to call him
the draft guru.
There you go. Tell him.
Now, it was hard. I searched in my mind, and I tried to come up with a reason. And I did. And I came up with Mikey Sanders still. Because regardless of the ups and downs, he made plays. He just, in game, out game, he just made plays. And there's a corner. It's going to be some bad times. It's going to be some good times. But are you going to keep fighting? He kept fighting to the end. I think he started every game. He played every game. But I think this is what he showed us. I am an outside corner. I think that's what he just showed us. I'm an outside corner. I feel more comfortable on the outside. Of course, you want me to play on the inside, but if you put me on the outside, I will get the ball back. And that's what you want your corners to do. Get ball retrieval. You're going to give up some, you're going to get some, but I need you to get some. And that's what he did. MVP, Mikey Sanders still.
4 interceptions for Mikey Sanders. So can't wait to see what he does in year 3. Logan, you are up next with the Rising Star Award. Who would you say from last year's team was a rising star?
Yeah, I got the easy one, I think. So to me, I think I would say Josh Connerly. And again, I could have got Bill Krosky-Merritt easily here, but Josh Connerly, I think what you're looking for is offensive linemen. They're extremely hard to find. You draft them at 29, and talk about a guy that just got better each and every week. He showed the athleticism, showed the upside, and by the end of the season, man, I was like, this guy's going to be an absolute stud for this team. And so having those 2 bookends in Tunsil and Connerly is going to be awesome moving forward for Jay Daniels' development.
And fellas, this next award should be called the Brian Mitchell Award because it's the Dedicated to Excellence Award, and we know my brother, the future Hall of Famer, is always dedicated to excellence.
It was for old players.
Who would you give the Dedicated to Excellence Award to?
We don't have a bad foot award. That would be Fred. or not need award. So I would give it to Bobby Wagner. If you look at Bobby on the football field, but year 15, 16, he had 162 tackles. That's almost averaging 10 tackles a game. He makes play after play and also leads his team. He teaches these guys, teaches young guys how to play, also does a lot of stuff off the field. See, the whole thing about it is once you begin to play this in this league and you get to a point where you're comfortable in doing what you do, then you do the rest of the stuff that you're supposed to do. And he not only helps his team out, he helps his communities in many different places. So I was definitely giving it to him.
Walter Payton Award.
It's crazy. Bobby just keeps racking up the awards. He could have won about 3 of these. He honestly could win this next one right here for you, London Fletcher, the Locker Room Leader Award. You were the best locker room leader we've ever had.
No,
I'm going to say that right now. The best we ever had. Tanner was looking at you from across the locker room, just watching.
Such a hater, man.
Who would you give the Locker Room Leader Award to?
I tried. Trust me, I tried, Commanders fans. He would not listen. Everybody got some bad kids. If you got 4 kids, one of them going to be bad, 3 of them going to be perfect. Yeah. No matter what. Getting back to the Locker Room Leader Award, I'm going to give it to Jeremy Reeves. Jeremy Reeves, when you look at him, he's the guy I think people gravitate to him with his experience, personality, and also the way he plays on the football field. So that's the guy that I see. He gets my award for the Locker Room Leader.
He played some good safety this year, too.
Yeah. What a fun year it was, and we are so excited to keep bringing you content after content all off season long, headed in to the 2026 NFL season. From out here at DC Prime, we about to eat good, we about to drink good, we about to have ourselves a time. We will see y'all next week.
Fred got to go home.
Command Center was filmed at Big Bear AI Command Center Studio. Big Bear AI offers mission-ready AI for a rapidly evolving world, proudly protecting the Washington Commanders and its fans.